From Keene in the Shire, the Liberty Media capital of the world, this is Daryl W. Perry, host of FPP Radio News for Tuesday, June 9th, 2015. Silver is trading at $16.06 per ounce. Gold is valued at $1,181 per ounce. And according to BitcoinAverage.com, the average price of Bitcoin is $232. Antiwar.com reports up until the past few days, U.S. airstrikes in Syria have been in two forms. The ones aimed at directly aiding Kurdish factions against the Islamic State, and the kind meant to just cause damage to the Islamic State without an eye towards aiding anyone. The Syrian Observatory for Human Rights is now reporting the first kind of strike of a non-Kurdish faction in Syria. The strikes, which began on Friday, were meant to blunt the Islamic State offensive against the city of Azaz, which is held by a coalition of rebels that is dominated by al-Qaeda. 8 were killed in the airstrikes and 20 wounded. That was just the tip of the iceberg, however, as the Islamists reported they were tipped off by the Islamic State position in advance and captured a large number of them over the subsequent days, publicly beheading a number of the Islamic State fighters. The rebel faction, which is al-Qaeda dominated, also released a video showing a battalion of U.S.-backed Free Syrian Army rebels who are fighting alongside them, firing U.S. TOW missiles against the Islamic State targets outside of Azaz. In Survivor Max by Davi Barker, 11-year-old Max must survive the zombie apocalypse alone in New Hampshire. Slow-moving and non-thinking, the lame brains swarm his home searching for living flesh. Max must apply his Porcupine Freedom Scouts training to plan his escape, but first he must prove that he's too smart to die. Look for Survivor Max on Facebook and Amazon, or read Chapter 1 free at survivormax.com. UPI reports the family of 2 Yemeni men killed in a U.S. drone strike in 2012 filed a wrongful death lawsuit against the United States, saying the attack violated the laws of war. Salim bin Ali Jabir and Walid bin Ali Jabir were killed on August 29, 2012 in the village of Kashmir in Yemen's eastern Hadramaut Governorate. They were innocent bystanders when a U.S. drone strike targeted 3 men suspected of being terrorists. Walid, a police officer, accompanied Salim, an imam, to meet with the 3 targets at the time of the strike. The lawsuit argues that the 3 targets were killed in a so-called signature strike. Signature strikes target and kill people based on data U.S. personnel use to assume the targets are likely terrorists. The lawsuit says the 3 targets could have been arrested instead of killed with the drone. A number of high-level al-Qaeda figures have been killed or targeted in Yemen by U.S. drone missile strikes, though studies conducted by advocacy groups Reprieve and Human Rights Watch have found more civilians than militants have been killed by the strikes in both Yemen and Pakistan. For over 35 years, Robertson Roberts has been a trusted source for buying and selling your investment-grade precious metals. They also take Bitcoin for precious metal purchases and permanently removed the minimum purchase order for all orders paid in the digital currency. Call Robertson Roberts today for knowledgeable advice on investing and a forward-thinking approach to new technologies. 850-478-5270 or online at rrbi.co. Reuters reports, since retiring from the U.S. Army in the year 2000, Dr. John Henry Hagman has helped train thousands of soldiers and medical personnel in how to treat battlefield wounds. His company, Deployment Medicine International, has received more than $10.5 million in business from the federal government. The taxpayer-funded training has long troubled animal rights activists who contend that Hagman's use of live wounded pigs to simulate combat injuries is unnecessarily cruel. But an investigation by Virginia medical authorities alleges that pigs weren't the doctor's only training subjects. During instructional sessions in 2012 and 2013 for military personnel, Hagman gave trainees drugs and liquor and directed them to perform macabre medical procedures on one another, according to a report issued by the Virginia Board of Medicine, the state agency that oversees the conduct of doctors. Hagman is accused of inappropriately providing at least 10 students with the hypnotic drug ketamine. The report alleges that Hagman told students to insert catheters into the genitals of other trainees and that 2 intoxicated students were subject to penile nerve block procedures. Hagman also is accused of conducting shock labs, a process in which he withdrew blood from the students, monitored them for shock, and then transferred the blood back into their systems. This has been FPP Radio News, online at fppradio.com.